Welcome you into the Hannycast for Monday, March the 23rd. I'm Charles Hanagriff along with former Tiger coach Dan Canevari, and we come to you on the weekend after LSU beaten 2 out of 3 at home by Oklahoma. The Tigers fall to 2-4 in the conference, and this is the third straight weekend that LSU has lost the series, and two of them here in Baton Rouge. So the tensions are a little bit high. Cano, before we start to get into the games and the big story of the weekend, which was Cooper Moore's injury, this happens to every baseball team that's ever put on a pair of spikes. Things will go. Oh, the game will get you at some point. And right now, LSU's just going rough. So when you're the team, when you're in that clubhouse, when you're in that dugout, things ain't going exactly the way you want them to. What's your message?
Well, stay the course. Remember why you're at LSU. Remember the history of the program and the success that's gone on, and try to stay within whatever Jay calls it, the system, the method, the standard, the tradition, whatever you want to call it. You got to stay within what the coach has done and have been successful. And as a group, stick together, eliminate the outside noise, and just try to focus in on what you've got to do day in and day out. And don't panic. Trust your ability, trust your skills, trust what got you here. And remember, it's a baseball game, and it's not war. It's not financial crisis. It's just a baseball game, and it's supposed to be fun, and you're talented at it, and you're just supposed to keep working hard and enjoy the work and enjoy the grind.
Dan, if I wanted to, I could spin this. I know this is not what anybody wants to hear today, but I could, and it's true. If I could turn three plays around in the last two weekends, I could have LSU at 5-1. Game doesn't work that way, of course, but they're one strike away on Friday night against Vanderbilt. They've got the go-ahead run at the plate with Curiel at the plate on Friday in game 2. And they've got the lead going to the 8th and a double play ball on Saturday. Now, you can't say, well, just go turn those things around. I could turn one around for Vanderbilt on Sunday, and maybe they have the lead after they get it even, being down 6. So I understand that there are plays here and there that can change a ball game. You can't just say, well, it should all go your way. Baseball doesn't work that way. But if I really wanted to, I could say, they're 3 plays away from being 5-1, but more realistically, 1 or 2 plays away from at least being 3-3.
Well, Charlie, that's baseball. Like you said, it's baseball, but that's really it. I mean, last year things went well, and now this year things aren't going well. Like, you're not getting the timely hit. You're not making the double play when you need to make it. You're making the error when it doesn't really help. You're not getting the error from the other guy. They make a great play when you could have broke the game open. Things like that happen. Now, it's a long season. What fans have to understand, and I know the coaches do, is that the law of average will take over. We don't know if it's going to take over by the end of the season, but it will take over a course of time. Just like I said a little previously, last year everything worked well and they won the national championship. They had a lot of breaks go their way. Well, they're paying for it this year, it seems like, early in the year. But then later in the year, it might work. Charlie, if you flip a coin 100 times, how many times is it supposed to be heads?
It's supposed to be 50-50.
Right. But you could flip it 100 times and it could be 43.
Yeah.
And then the next time you do it, it could be 57. I mean, and that's kind of the way it works.
What I said was true. That one play I may have turned them all. On the other hand, those are not a guarantee, and it would be ignoring some real shortcomings for this team. So it's not just bad. Look, Morris could have hooked the ball foul, another a quarter of an inch the other way, and maybe he hooks the ball foul, or maybe the wind doesn't change in 98 and there's a flag in 98 instead of 96. It's just, I get that part of it, but there's some things that they can work on, that they can improve on, and it's not the end of the world just yet. And what I noticed, I was going to say this for the end, but I'm going to do it now, Dan. This league is the most talented in the country. In 2 weeks, nobody has gotten out of the gate 5-1, and only 2 teams have come out the gate 1-5. So 14 teams are sitting there within 2 games of each other. So even if you're really good, you've lost a couple, and even if you're really bad, you won a couple. Um, and it's going to come down to the last week, I get, for a lot of things: the conference championship, seeds, host sites, all of those things. But they've got some things to fix. I can only put so much of a happy face on this deal.
Well, here's the thing: the number one way to win the ball game, okay,
Dominant pitching. Dominant pitching.
Dominant pitching. We don't have it, except Kason Evans does the job. We win the game 7-1.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. The second, and this is where the issue is, especially for Jay being the offensive coordinator and hitting coach. Timely hitting. See, we're not getting the hit when we need it with runners on base. We're taking a third strike. We're grounding out. We're flying out. Okay, we're not getting the hit when we need it. So number one is timely hitting. Number one is dominant pitching. Number two is timely hitting. And then after that is everything else. And so now with Cooper Moore going down for 3 to 4 starts, now you're really in an issue, and you don't really have a bullpen that you know what you're going to get. So those are issues that must be fixed quickly, because it's not going to change. Because the only other thing, like Skip used to say, it's tough when you go into a weekend and your number one way to win is that the other team plays poorly. Look, that's not a good way to look at it.
No, and that's something that happened a little bit the last 2 weeks. We're going to get to that. We're brought to you by the Capital Area USSSA Baseball Affiliate, hosting events for all levels and skills, all the way from league play into rec all-star divisions, AA, AAA, Major League, state, and national events. They've got a lot more events lined up for this spring. So call Lane Petrie, 225-771-9095, 225-771-9095, or email CAPREAU CAPAREAU at gmail.com. All right, let's talk about Cooper Moore's injury. This is a triceps tightness. Boy, I'll tell you what, Dan, watching the game and watching his facial expressions and his body language, I feared the worst, but they've taken a look at this thing, and it's inflammation. They feel like 3 weeks off, and he can come back and pitch. So tell me your familiarity with, as a pitching coach, with this type of injury and what's involved with getting back.
Well, you never really know. That's the thing. It just depends on how the body responds, how they respond to treatment. The good news is Mark Field is the head of the orthopedic team for sports medicine at LSU. Mark's, if not the best, besides James Andrews, he's pretty close in the southeastern United States. He's tremendous. And so Mark's going to be on it. And the bottom line is it's how he responds to treatment, where the actual injury is. Can they pinpoint it? Can they pinpoint what happened? They got to go back and look at video, make sure it doesn't happen again. Could it be a mechanical issue? So there's a lot of factors that go into that. But let's face it, it's like Warren Morris coming back from the hamate. You don't know when they're going to be ready. You know, everybody heals differently, some faster than others. So they've got a window of opportunity, and he may come back earlier, may take longer, he may not come back. And so in the meantime, it's the next man up. And I think that's the big issue for Jay Johnson, is who fills that role, because the starting pitching is scattered at best right now.
All right, garden variety. You work a pitcher up, okay? You take him all the way through preseason drills. You get him into the non-conference part of the schedule. You start building up pitch count to where you get in a conference and you can turn them loose. Then you have 2 conference games, and he's pretty much pitching without any real pitch count restrictions. Then you got to shut him down for 3 weeks. Then you have to start over. Where do you start back from? And I know every kid is different, but just from a ramp-up standpoint, I mean, is it realistic? It wouldn't seem like it would be realistic to expect Cooper Moore to just completely sit out 3 weeks and then return to where he was before that. What's the re-ramp up, if you will?
It's totally unrealistic to think he can come back and be where he was when he started the season.
Yeah.
Okay. Or even when he left, the game. The bottom line is this: 3 to 4 weeks means he's out. It's probably going to take 3 to 4 weeks to get him back to where he could pitch and carry 85 plus pitches and be effective. Okay. But first he's got to come in and be effective. So there's the timeline's there. What you're hoping is by the time you get to the last SEC weekend, he's 100% back. In the meantime, you've got to really work hard to develop the other people to step in and fill that void collectively on the staff. And you got to do a lot of work with your in and out pitching changes, mix and match, and use your bullpen and the other people to get there. Now, the bright side of this, Charlie, which we're always looking for here, especially when the team's not doing well, if they can do that and still get themselves in a position to make the postseason, be in the SEC tournament, and host a regional, I think a super's out of the question right now. I mean, that'd be a stretch for us. I think if we can do that, the good news is that means that you've developed other parts of the pitching, and if you get Cooper Moore back, now you become better, like last year when Chase Shores finally got in and made a contribution. So you're hoping for that. I think you've got to look for Zach Cowan and Gavin Guidry really to step it up here.
Those are the two names that are going to come up first, and I get it. But here's my deal. Dan, if they get into a 1 or 2 run game on Friday night in game 1, and they can use one of those two guys to close it out, like Zach Cowan closed it out on Thursday night, game 1 of this series. Now, LSU had built a lead, but Evans was done, and they brought in Plog to come in. He couldn't get the guy out. They bring in Cowan. He finishes the game, and that's easy. I would think that that's going to happen again. If it's a 3 or 4 run lead, it's going to be Zach Cowan. If it's a 1 or 2 run lead, it's probably going to be Gavin Guidry. You would use those guys in a Friday and or a Saturday situation to win you a ball game. Now, if they don't pitch, if you win big, you lose big, or they just don't get in the game, then sure, you could start either one of them on Sunday. But isn't the first thing to try to nail down a win if in one of the first 2 or preferably 2 of the first 2, you're going to use those guys, aren't you?
100%. You're going to do it that way, Charlie. It's not even a question because of where we're at right now in the SEC. If we were at the top of the SEC, you'd play it different. You know what I'm saying? Like if for some reason we were sitting at 5-1 or 6-0 in the SEC at the top, we were ranked number 1 or 2 in the nation, high power rating. We could kind of experiment with maybe we'll have to play it like that. But the bottom line is Jay's going to have to play Friday night to win and then worry about tomorrow. And then Saturday night to win and worry about tomorrow. It's the old spawn insane and pray for rain. He's just got to play one game at a time, and he'll probably have quick hooks because you can't let the game get too far to the line because you can't depend on your backline pitching to hold the game. Even if you do get a lead, you might have to hold the game in the 3rd inning, and I think that's big.
Yeah. Let me say this real quick, and I'm not going to harp on this, and I'm not going to talk about it a whole lot. I think it would be best if everybody started talking about it one game and one series at a time. And any ideas about the postseason? I know what the expectation is around here, top 8 national season. I'm here to tell you that I almost never look at the RPIs. This is your favorite part, Dan.
Thank you.
Before late April. But I did this time, and I can tell you it ain't good. They've lost 3 series. One of those was to Sacramento State. So that ain't good. Your wins against Milwaukee, who is 4-17, are not going to help. The losses to Vanderbilt right now are Q3 losses, even though they're SEC losses. So I would put all of the postseason talk way off to the side right now because they just got to go win a game. Go out and win a series.
We just got to win. Win one game and then win the next one, and then win one game, win the next one, and then you just got to play one game at a time. We got to stop worrying about draft, NIL, standings, power ratings, what's going on. Like forget all that stuff, and let's just start playing baseball. And the LSU fans are the greatest in the world, but they also put a lot of pressure on the kids because the expectations are so high. Of course, that's why they come. So they're trying to live up to those expectations. I think we have to just get down to reality and really realize that there's a lot of work to do, and we got to support the team rather than try to figure out what's going on with them. Us included, Charlie.
That's why I just said it. The RPI word those initials won't come out of my mouth anytime soon. Located in the heart of downtown Hammoncina, an upscale Italian restaurant serving traditional dishes in contemporary fashion, inspired by the abundance of fresh local produce and the ways of old China, creating a unique dining experience. China's goal is to use local ingredients and delicious recipes to create an exceptional dining experience while also providing a fresh and inclusive atmosphere that can be enjoyed by everyone. China in the heart of downtown Hammond. All right, let's go back to game number one. And this was on Thursday night. This is the case in Evans that we saw for most of last year, but maybe even better, Dan, because this was the longest outing of his career. The 7 2/3 with 15 strikeouts and only one walk. He only gave up 3 hits. The run was unearned and 110 pitches. And he gets you into the eighth inning. This is what you want out of your Friday night guy. Evans has been up and down a little bit this year, but on Thursday night, he was at his best.
Yes, and that's a great thing for Casey Evans and for the LSU Tigers to have your Friday night guy go like that. And, he just had it that night, and that makes him feel good. It's good for a lot of confidence. Now, as a coach, you got to say, can he do that 2 more times in a row and we feel real good about it? Can he have that kind of outing 2 more times? Then we've got a Friday night guy, and that's one piece of the puzzle we can kind of count on. So that's where I'm looking.
And again, Zach Cowan came in the last inning in the third. He retired 4 batters on 11 pitches. Dan, I'm no pitching coach. That's your corner of the store. I thought the changeup the last 2 times that he has pitched has been noticeably better and as plainly as just not up. I thought when he was getting hit hard early, there's a lot of pitches up in the zone. I thought he's been down in the zone and the changeup has looked better.
Yeah, it's looked a lot better, and he's starting to get more of a feel for it. He's getting out on the mound more, pitching more, knowing that that's his pitch. And if he's got a feel for it, that's going to change a lot of things. And he'll, again, with more going out, this is bringing in more and more of Zach Cowan being a big piece of this puzzle.
Game 2, more left in the fifth. Cooper Williams was the first guy out there. Dan, I'll be honest with you. I was really hoping that this might be the bounce back for Cooper Williams. The game was close. It was a 1-run game, and I thought if he went in there and, he would have a chance to extend here because Moore was out of the game before they thought he would be. Said, look, here's the silver lining. Williams can go out there and maybe he gives you 3 innings, the way Cowan did at Vanderbilt. He had been struggling. He went into a game. He got him, 3 good innings, and he's built on that. Didn't happen for Cooper Williams or Maverick Rizzi in this game, although I liked what I saw to Grant Fontenot and Santiago Garcia toward the back end of the 4-2 game.
Yeah, I think Cooper Williams right now has been disappointing in the role that they were kind of grooming for him. And I've always been a Cooper Williams fan. The talent's there, but he's got to break through, as we often said, the pressure barrier. He's got to get through it because now we're relying on him to be one of the guys, and it's not happening for him. I will say this: Grant Fontenot has shown some good stuff in spots. But the guy's really impressed me the most of lately is Santiago Garcia. He seems to come in, have a lot of calm to him. He's thrown some great pitches. He's done a really good job. So I think Jay's getting more and more confidence in Santiago Garcia, and he's kind of stepping into that lefty role that they were looking for Cooper Williams to fill, or also Ethan Flog.
The biggest problem in the Vanderbilt series was the walks. They walked 26 guys in 26 innings. Well, over the first 2 games of this series, they only walked 4 in 18 innings worth. 19 innings 18 innings worth of baseball. And so that was encouraging. Now, the walks did get to them a little bit on Sunday, but the first 2 days of the series, they were pretty good. We're brought to you by Dependable Storage, climate-controlled units, indoor and outdoor RV boat parking, Baton Rouge, Houma, Jefferson, New Orleans, Prairieville, Slidell, Youngsville. Here in Louisiana, the heat and the humidity can get to your stuff. So you want to use the climate control for your furniture, for your electronics, for all of your important documents. They have the right space for you. You can get free use of their moving truck for new rental move-ins. So whether you are moving yourself, maybe you're moving a student, maybe you need something just temporary, seasonal decor, the units will get you what you need. So dependablestorage.com. Remember, Dependable Storage, they want your stuff. Sunday or Saturday, game 3 of the series, William Schmidt, who has been pitching really well the last 4 weeks. Dan, I thought he battled on Saturday, but I also thought Oklahoma battled him hard, and they got that pitch count up. Schmidt didn't get hit hard, but it seemed like he had to work for everything. And once you got through 4 innings, it was 90 pitches, and that was the day for him. And that ended up being kind of a deal because I thought that Jay stayed with Gavin Guidry maybe a little bit longer than he might have before he went to Devin Sheeran. And Oklahoma working that pitch count up on the starter did exactly what it was supposed to do. They break through with the big hit late.
If you're playing against LSU right now, especially now with Cooper Moore being out, and of course it happened on Saturday, he went out early of the game. If you're on offense, your job is to take pitches early in the count, drive the counts deep, follow it off with 2 strikes, and let's get them at the end of the game because their bullpen's one of their weakest points right now. So if I'm taking an offensive strategy, that's the way I'm doing it. I think it worked to perfection. Schmidt has been great the last couple of Sundays, so they're saying, hey, let's just fight him off, and then let's get to him in the 4th or 5th inning, just pitch up near 100 in the 4th or 5th inning, and then let's get to that bullpen and win the game. Just keep it close until then, and I think that's basically been the approach, and I think a lot of people are going to mimic that approach as well.
Is Devin Sheeran a candidate to start if those other 2 guys, if Schmidt and if Guidry and Cowan are used up out of the bullpen? Would you consider starting him on a Sunday?
Everybody's considered to start if you use up the bullpen right now. Everybody. And they're not really looking to go 4 or 5 innings. We're talking about get me as many outs as you can, and then when it's over, we'll move to the next guy, and that's where you're going.
And, in this game, Dan, LSU got out to a lead. Omar Cerna, who Jay says is not coming out of the lineup now, played first base, was his first start at first base this year. And York has been struggling. He's been struggling at the plate. He struck out 4 times Friday night. He has struggled defensively. So they gave Cerna a chance on Saturday. And not only did he run one out of the park, boy, he creamed that ball. But I thought he handled his chances over at first base. Look, defense has been a problem in a number of positions, including first base. I thought Cerna did some nice things on Saturday, game 3.
Well, yeah, your defense looks really good when you hit one out of the park that's started on the
but he caught some balls over at first base too.
Yeah, but you can work it. If he's a catcher, you can work him at first base good enough. Especially York not playing great defense. Let's face it, York's not a Jared Jones, and he's not a Trey Morgan, and so whoever you put over there, you got a pretty good chance of getting the same defense. The bottom line is they need offense from that position. Cerner will do fine over there as long as he's hitting. He looks a lot better on defense when he's hitting.
Yeah, I don't expect anybody to be Trey Morgan defensively, but you do have to hit. He looks the part. I think he's come a long way, Dan.
Sure.
In just 6 weeks worth of varsity work, and now into the Southeastern Conference. I think Cerna's done some really nice things.
You understand, Charlie's going to be a first-round pick when he goes into the draft.
He is the number 1 catcher rated in that class for what would be 26, the 28 draft. So, yeah, we know that the talent is there. He could have signed for plenty of money last year. We're brought to you by Bayou Apparel. If you're looking for anything LSU, go to everythinglsu.com. Shipping out of Baton Rouge. Hey, spring football is starting tomorrow. That means the Lane Train. Got your Lane Train apparel at everythinglsu.com. Your short sleeve T-shirts, your long sleeve T-shirts, your decals, your hats. Lane Train in purple and gold at everythinglsu.com. The visors are available. The visors with the headsets on the shirts are available. National championship gear from last year. The polos are really nice Sailor Mike polo shirts in purple, in gold, in black, in gray. National championship gear from last year still left over there. So get your LSU gear at everythinglsu.com. All right, let's talk about the offensive or lack thereof, Dan. They won a game 7-1 on Friday night. They got out to a 5-0 lead. but this was a little bit. You got to kind of put it in context here. LSU had 3 runs before they had a hit. Cam Johnson, who was a freshman for LSU 2 years ago, left-handed, big kid, throws really hard, has problems with his control. Walked 6 in an inning and a third. In addition, Oklahoma made 3 errors in the game. So 3 of the runs end up being unearned. After that, Oklahoma's bullpen did a pretty good job against LSU. So, yeah, you got 7 runs, but you only had 8 hits in the game. You had a couple of extra base hits here, but Oklahoma helped you. What did you say earlier? You're waiting for your opponent to screw up. Oklahoma had a rough start to this series.
They played poorly. Okay. We left the bases loaded a few times. We didn't come up with a timely hit. We left 10 on base. Okay. In that ball game. So we didn't necessarily win the game. Oklahoma lost it, and we had a heroic performance from Case and Evans.
Yeah.
So that was a good win, but a kind of a scary win of what we saw in the next 2 games.
I think they would have won if Johnson would have just had a reasonable outing, 3 innings even. I think LSU still wins the game because of Evans.
There's a Case and Evans.
But I think they win it 3-1, or maybe even 2-1 and not 7-1. I thought Oklahoma gave them a lot of the 7-1, and then it just didn't get a lot better. They had 7 hits in the game on Friday and 4 hits in the game on Saturday. So a couple things I see here, Dan. Number one, they're pitching around Jake Brown. They walked him 6 times.
I'm going to say he's Barry Bonds right now in college baseball. He's not going to get a ball to hit.
Well, they walked him 6 times this weekend. You know how many hits LSU got the batter after him? None.
Yeah.
So what can you do? I mean, Curiel was hitting behind him on Friday, and Cerna was hitting behind him on Saturday, and Friday it was Curiel again, and Curiel had a couple of hits, just not one of the times that they walked Brown. So they're not killing it at the top of the lineup. They put Stephen Milam up there. He's scuffling at the plate. Brown and Curiel are your best 2 hitters. What can you do other than stack them? But right now they're pitching around LSU's right fielder, and I would too.
Yeah, I wouldn't get a ball close to the plate. I'm telling you, it's Barry Bonds, and the bottom line is that puts a lot of pressure on the guy hitting behind him. They're trying to get Cerna. They're trying to get John Pearson, some other people to step it up a little bit. But if I'm pitching against him, you walk Brown, okay, hold him close, and pitch really hard to Curiel. So obviously, people have found out that there's a way to get out Curiel when you need to, because like you said, Charlie, when Brown's not on base, Curiel gets a hit. When he is on base, he doesn't get a hit. And that's the way they're pitching to people, because the bottom after Curiel, it's pot luck on the lineup. You don't know what's going to happen. So pitcher kind of, let's work at the top of the order, and then we got about 4 or 5 hitters where we can do some regular stress-free pitching and get ourselves through the lineup until we get to the top again.
This is pattern pitching. This is right out of the book, right out of the Bertman handbook, right?
That's exactly what it is. Your pattern 1 baseball. Until somebody gets hot and that lineup, gets good all the way through. Everybody's got a chance to create some offense, and it's a pretty good percentage play. It's going to be a struggle.
We're brought to you by Marucci Sports, MarucciSports.com, founded by former big leaguers and their athletic trainer who began handcrafting these bats for the best players in the game back in 2004. If you're in Baton Rouge, last week, Dan, the day of the first game, who was in there taking the Marucci campus tour? Oklahoma's baseball team. They were in taking a look at the facilities, and this is one of the coolest tours. If you're a baseball junkie, you can tour all of the working wood shops, the paint booths, the finishing rooms, the museum style exhibits, some interactive exhibits, tell you about how Marucci was founded. You learn about the history and the craftsmanship behind the bats, and then you go into the gift shop where you've got discounts available to you Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. And 1 p.m. Contact them for your private or group tours at additional times. Go to MarucciSports.com/campus-tour over at Marucci Sports. I brought up the standings a little earlier just because I expect it to be that way the entire season. Maybe Texas is a little bit better than the next best team in the league, but it's a pretty short margin. Dan, it's been since the COVID year, or since before the COVID year, that after 2 weeks, no team is even 5 wins through the first 6 games. So we're not looking at some of these dominant teams that we've had in the past. Remember, LSU finished third in the league last year and won the national championship. So stay the course. If you are going to, you're going to worry about something, worry about the execution and not necessarily the standing. Nobody's run away with this thing. And LSU's a couple of plays away from being in better shape, but they got to get some of this stuff fixed because
Like you said,
it was
though,
a tough weekend.
like you said, just stay the course. Just play baseball the way you know. Play one pitch at a time. That's the hardest thing to do, is not to get ahead of yourself, not to get behind yourself and think about the past. You just got to sit in the moment, one pitch at a time, and just try to win that pitch. And that's very, very hard when you're struggling. And so that mindset is real important.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Well, Louisiana Tech on Tuesday night, then Friday, Saturday, Sunday at the Box. 6:30 Friday, 2 o'clock on Saturday, and noon on Sunday as LSU takes on the number 21 ranked Kentucky Wildcats. For Dan Canevari, I'm Charles Hanagriff. This has been the Hannycast.